The death in the chute, the unsettling case of Phoebe Handsjuk on the morning of December 2nd, 2010. Residents of a luxury apartment building in Melbourne, Australia, were starting their day like any other. Then a body was discovered at the bottom of a garbage chute. It belonged to Phoebe Handsjuk, a 24-year-old woman, intelligent, creative, and deeply loved by her friends and family. And according to police, what happened next was simple. They ruled her death a suicide, but almost immediately that explanation began to fall apart. Who was Phoebe? Phoebe was described as bright, curious, and gentle. She studied design, loved art, and had a strong circle of friends. She struggled at times with anxiety and depression, but she was also planning her future, talking about travel, work, and life beyond the present. She lived with her boyfriend, Anthony Hampel, in a high-rise apartment in Carlton, an upscale inner-city neighborhood. The building itself was modern, secure, and equipped with a trash chute system that ran vertically down more than a dozen floors. That chute would soon become the center of one of Australia's most controversial death investigations. The last night. On the night of December 1st, Phoebe and Anthony were home together. There were no reports of loud arguments. No neighbors heard screams. No emergency calls. At some point during the night, Phoebe sent a few emails and messages. Nothing suggested a goodbye. Nothing sounded final. Then, sometime in the early hours of the morning, Phoebe vanished from her apartment. The discovery later that morning, a building caretaker noticed something unusual while checking the garbage room. At the bottom of the chute, among trash bags and debris, was a human body. Phoebe Handsjuk was dead. She had fallen 12 floors through a narrow metal garbage chute. Almost immediately, investigators concluded that she had placed herself inside the chute and jumped. Case closed. Except, the chute itself told a very different story. The garbage chute problem. The garbage chute opening was extremely narrow, roughly half a meter wide. To enter it, a person would need to open a heavy, spring-loaded door, climb up onto the ledge, bend their body unnaturally, push themselves feet first or head first into a dark, filthy shaft, all while resisting instinctive panic. Friends and family asked a chilling question. How does a person voluntarily climb into a garbage chute? Even more disturbing, Phoebe had bruises on her arms and torso. Police claimed they were from her fall. Her family wasn't convinced. The simulation. Phoebe's parents refused to accept the suicide ruling. They funded independent immigrants. A trained female police officer of similar height and weight attempted to recreate the act. The result? She could not physically get into the chute alone. She needed assistance. The test had to be stopped. That should have changed everything. It didn't. The unanswered questions then came more unsettling details. Phoebe had no defensive wounds, but had unexplained bruising. Her body showed signs that suggested she may have been unconscious before the fall. The chute door showed no fingerprints. No suicide note was ever found. Friends said Phoebe had made plans for the future, and perhaps most troubling of all, Anthony Hampel was the only person known to be with her that night, yet he was never charged at the inquest. In 2013, a coroner's inquest re-examined the case. After years of controversy, expert testimony, and public pressure, the conclusion was shocking in its vagueness. Phoebe's death was ruled undetermined, not suicide, not homicide, just unknown, which raised an even darker possibility. What if the truth was being quietly buried? A family that never stopped fighting. Phoebe's parents continue to speak out, insisting that their daughter could not and would not have ended her life this way. They argue that the investigation was flawed from the start, that police focused too quickly on suicide and failed to properly consider other explanations. To this day, no one has been held accountable. No one has officially explained how Phoebe entered that chute. The chilling reality: Phoebe Handsjuk didn't leave a note. She didn't say goodbye. She didn't choose an easy way out. Instead, she died in one of the most physically difficult and terrifying ways imaginable. And the most disturbing part: someone knows what really happened that night. They just aren't talking. More than a decade later, Phoebe's death remains one of Australia's most haunting mysteries. Was it suicide, an accident, or something far more sinister? Until the truth is spoken, the garbage chute at that Melbourne apartment building stands as a silent witness to a story that refuses to stay buried.